Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, Jasmine, an investigator of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, ever since the missionaries knocked on her door last year, and has been going to the Joseph Smith papers, to the original Book of Mormon, to the original Doctrine and Covenants passages, to the sermons of Joseph Smith that for some unknown reason Brigham Young refused to have them published. So she's learning about the real church history from the primary source documents. She's smart enough to know that when you want to learn about a religion, you don't trust the religion, you don't trust published authors, you go straight to the primary source documents. And this year, Jasmine has been encountering lots of problems that have kept her away from me. And sadly, her mother died on Sunday, my mom's birthday, late mom's birthday. As on Saturday, I had found that my sister Carolyn had posted on the church's family search site, and they forced me to log in. And after I logged in, they then sent pop-ups asking if I wanted to join the church. Oh my hell! I can't even go to my mom's site in peace without the church pressuring me. Your mom's dead. Want to join the church? If you pay us, you might be united with her after you're dead. It's such a scam operation. Dear God. So yeah, I sent an email after I found out, warning that the missionaries might pull that stunt on them if they had let them know that her mom died. And so yeah, it's sad. And so we're a little bit behind on Jasmine comment, or Jasmine, again, another added month of being behind on my videos. But yeah, she flooded me with a whole bunch of comments. So this is all dedicated to Jasmine. The sweet smell of jasmine in the air. So, yeah, I had also sent her my latest Jasmine fashion plate, in which I had to give her Botox lips because I was struggling to find lips that I could put over her smiling face that I use for her other fashion plates. So it was a little difficult because it's a big smile, and it's a little awkward, but still adorable. With tears falling from the eyes. I'm really liking this picture creation. It's a form of art. In high school, I gave up on education, and so it was awesome taking a whole bunch of art classes with Mr. Swigheimer there in Corona, or Norco High School. We were living in Corona, but that's where I went to seminary. It was across the street from Corona High, our rival. Alright, so let's do them in order. So we'll do the emails first, point out some stuff she talked about that are appropriate and applicable. And so, Jasmine makes first contact yesterday and says, "Hey Travis, thank you for this email. It was sweet of you." That's the one with the crying Jasmine with Botox lips and her tongue sticking out. She says her mom wasn't close with her mom, but yeah, it's a weird phenomenon. I found out my mom died. Anybody who's been watching my videos all this time knows about this. And YouTube attacked my video about my mom. God, just abominable. But anyway, I found out my mom died by searching the obituaries every day. Oh, my mom died a week ago. The family disowned me. The church attacked. I filed a petition with the state of Utah for redress of grievances. You know, that First Amendment in the Constitution thing that Jesus supposedly wrote. And now the church wants to overthrow it. Jesus can't make up his mind. And he still is a no-show for the second coming. We're on day 25, I think. And so, yeah, I'm like, oh my God, my family didn't even bother to let me know she died. And I was suspicious and was checking the obituaries online only because the last letter that I had received from my mom was in September. I had not opened them at all. I wasn't reading them because my mom condemns me. She was responsible for hurting me and then blames me. It's not a wonderful life, I tell you. Good God. And so, knowing, it was like November when I realized, hey, wait a minute, I didn't get a letter from my mom for the last couple of months. And because usually November I would expect a letter because that's when my siblings' birthdays are. 3 of the 4 siblings' birthdays are all there in November. My mom intended to do that to make it simple and easier for her to arrange all the birthday parties there in that 1 month. And then 17 years later, after me, she decided that Tabitha's spirit in the spirit world was calling for her. That she needed to have one more, and she committed an act of murder several times before Tabitha was born. Miscarriage, it's now considered murder, in case you hadn't been paying attention to the news lately. And so yeah, my mom died, and they didn't even bother to let me know about it, didn't invite me to the funeral. They want nothing to do with me. I have been ostracized from the family because I dared to protect myself against the church's threats to me, in which I was then disappeared for 6 years of my life for filing a petition for redress of grievances. I'm the terrorist? I'm the bad guy? So, yeah, I can relate to Jasmine here, as my mom and I were not close at all, but it is still weird to realize your loved, your family member, a friend, somebody you knew is now gone because they were dead. And so there have been several instances over my lifetime in which people died. There's the kid who in Southern California was in my seminary class but went to Corona High. He died by driving his motorcycle into the back of an orange transport truck. It was a semi-truck that carried the oranges that were plucked out there in the orange groves. And he just, for some reason, was purposely speeding over 100 miles an hour in those back roads, and came around the corner and boom, right into the back of the semi-truck that was parked there off to the side of the road. And gone. And so yeah, it's a weird feeling when somebody that you knew and were familiar with is all of a sudden gone. And so yeah, I can relate to Data on Star Trek New Generations when Officer Valoy, she was the ship's security chief until she died, and then Worf took over. And now her daughter apparently is working with the Romulans. but yeah, that concept of somebody that you're familiar with and now they're just gone. It's a weird feeling. And let's see. Yeah. My dad and mom didn't love each other, but people outside of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints get married for love, not for duty to Jesus. And so, yeah, I can imagine her father is going to be crushed with her loss. And then it's a weird feeling because I can sort of relate to that twice over, 2 failed marriages. To be in the habit of sleeping with somebody every night and then all of a sudden you're all alone. There's nobody there. And it's a feeling similar to, oh my God, they're dead. I don't know what it's like to lose a limb, but I've heard about feeling that your limb is still there after losing it. It's a mental thing that occurs, that your mind wants to perform an action with the limb that's now gone, and the signal just ends and it's not able to carry through with the motion that your brain is wanting to do. And so yeah, it's like that almost, that sleeping with a person, being in a person's life is like having a body part there with you, and then when they're gone, it's a weird feeling of emptiness and loneliness. And so yeah, if you attach it with the feeling of love, which I have no clue of, nobody loves me, but yeah, it's a sad time for Jasmine right now. James didn't tell her that he had notified me about her mom's death, and so she was surprised and happy when she got my email. when she says when she gets her bearings back in line, she'll get back to the pics. She got my family pics. I sent her a file of it on that Saturday when I collected them. The family search, the pictures, they didn't allow me to download them, so I had to do snapshots of all of them. And then it took me a while to figure out that I could blow up the picture to make it bigger on the screen and do a better snapshot version. Then I'll have to go through and cut and trim to God, my own mother and me. And so yeah, there were pictures of me that I had never seen before. It was in my mom's collection, and apparently Carolyn got possession of them, and she had posted them on Family Search. And so this was the first time I was seeing many of the pictures of myself, as well as my parents when they were younger, and some other extended family members. But again, the family disowned me, and so they don't give a damn about me. They're not going to share about my life. This is their hatred. And what did I do to them? Nothing. I was the older brother. They were jealous. They helped, Carolyn also, with the failure of the first marriage. You know, the whole concept of love and family, no, it's all a lie. It's Lucifer's plan of happiness in this church. The family proclamation is very clear with the interpretation that Mormons are using with it, that you destroy the family unit if somebody doesn't conform and comply. And so, yeah, it's... And so Jasmine doesn't understand why I don't have dozens of women. Well, I'm no longer affiliated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so I am therefore not under obligation to obey the covenant path of the law of chastity that was changed by President Russell Marion Nelson in 2019 to order Mormons to practice polygamy again. And women have to obey. When a man comes to them and says, I want you as part of my harem, they have to say yes, okay. And so you'd think that the singles ward would now be empty and dissolved. Nope. Singles wards are still going strong. I'm so grateful they're not doing singles ward movies and sequels. Oh my hell. I did not even want to watch those. Scary. I did see the Pride and Prejudice version of the church. And that was okay. It was still sick and wrong. It was okay. My hell. I mean, seriously though, I did the gambit of the singles wards after the first failed marriage. The stake president kicked me out of the stake to go to the singles ward to do my duty in the church and get remarried. And so in the younger singles ward, the Mormon girls have extreme high standards and values, and they mix it with the natural order of a woman's fantasy life, of what she wants the world to be and her relationships with other people to be, and thus her future spouse and mate. Everybody has to conform and comply when a girl is younger, or she becomes Mormonzilla. And so, yeah, this is why you have younger single Mormon women who are more inclined, if they don't get everything they want, they then pursue a mission, they pursue an education, they pursue a career. And in their fantasy life, they think, well, when I'm 30 and established, I'll find the perfect guy who's also established, never have been married before, and he'll be a priesthood leader, and I can marry him, and our life will be perfect, and we'll have 2.5 kids, just like the nuclear family back in the 50s or 60s. Not knowing that America was purposely trying to decrease the surplus population from the baby boom after World War II. Trying to brainwash the masses into slowing down the pregnancy rates. But that's another story for another time. The latter days are finished. Mormons missed the Exodus, they missed their Christ, they missed the latter days. And so we're just watching the world burn. Dear God. I mean, seriously. I don't know if Biden did his speech yesterday in response to the email I sent him yesterday morning, or if our communication crossed. But yeah, everybody is saying, let's go Brandon now. Our president has failed. Both sides, he failed. That was just an utter humiliating disgrace. Dear God. But, yeah, once a woman gets into her 30s and she's now in the older singles ward, all of a sudden she's starting to get scared. She's realizing that her perfect little fantasy bubble isn't going to happen. And so in order to have a life without being a spinster with cats, they lower their standards and values. The older they get, the more standards and values get lessened. And I tragically witnessed Mormon women who lowered their standards and values to the point where any guy that showed an interest in them, they jumped on the train because they knew that was going to be their only opportunity for love in life. And those guys weren't even Mormon. It took a person who wasn't even Mormon to love them, because the Mormon men didn't love them. But in the older singles ward, the single men are the damaged men. The younger singles girls, Mormon girls, did not factor that into their equation. That in the 30s, a Mormon man will not be established. He will be broken and ruined. And if he had never gotten married, he's a loser. You know, the whole 28 scandal. You're a menace to society, or is it 26? But it's actually supposed to be 21, according to Heber C. Kimball, who was claiming to quote from Brigham Young. as I had found a Mormon who had found out about the source origin for that. 21, and a man is a menace to society. And it's not a menace to society, it's some other derogatory name that Heber C. Kimball called the guys. But regardless, everybody knows what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, women are too caught up in their fantasies that when reality finally strikes them, it's kind of devastating for the Mormon woman. They're coming to realize, oh my God, my life is ruined because of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So yeah, the sad reality. Too many Mormon women are becoming spinsters in the church. And the women who become career women, the Nancy Drew woman who ran Deseret Book, does she still do it, or she held out for an apostle? That was her fantasy bubble, and when the opportunity arose, he rejected her. Sherry do. And even Oakes's wife, second wife, she's a spinster. She was unloved. And so when Oakes lost his wife, there she was. And so she won the lottery, and she will never have kids because she held out and her fantasy didn't happen, and then her age caught up with her, and now she can no longer have kids. And so, yeah, I mean, she's married to an apostle who's next in line to become the president of the church, but you have no kids. I mean, sure, you're touring the world with him. You were just out in the Philippines dedicating the Philippine temple with him, but still, your life was a waste because nobody loved you when you were young and hot. This is the tragedy that the church causes on the family. So, yeah. If Jasmine were a Mormon, she'd understand. But as somebody who's not in the Kool-Aid drinking culture, nobody understands. That's weird. What's going on? You're all about the family, but your singles wards are the biggest population of wards in the church. What's up with that? And so, yeah, she then says she's back to watching my videos and left several comments, Jasmine. And so, she's now thinking about death and the afterlife. The whole dying thing and levels of heaven and ceilings is just a little more than I thought. We just died and went to a heaven and lived happily ever after. Yeah. That's the threat of Christianity. They threaten you with hell on earth so that you obey them with the fake promise of a happy, peaceful afterlife. This is the scam of religion. Because obviously we do not know what happened before we were born. We do not know what will happen after we die. And so people tend to create lies to give false hope and or fear. So that they can manipulate you. That's the whole revisionist history type scam. revisionist history, which I brought out last night, which is similar to the creation supersessionism, in which you rewrite history with completely different interpretation for a specific religious agenda, to deceive and to lie to people, to get them to pay you money or to con them out of something else. And then the Church of Jesus Christ goes even to a more extreme to cause Mormons to commit crimes and to protect the church from criminal prosecution. Kool-Aid in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is more severe than Kool-Aid in all the other Christian religions, including Islam. So this is a big old tragedy that is gonna burst the fantasy bubbles of Mormons beyond the fantasy bubbles of their concept of a relationship life with somebody. Alright, and so Jasmine had seen 3 videos. The first ones was, oh wait a minute, we didn't get to the other email. Jasmine has another email. I had not even seen it yet. Okay, so hey Travis, I found this commentary on 2 Nephi 29, 4 through 6. Is it accurate? So first we need to go over 2 Nephi 29, 4 to 6. So we get the proper context for the commentary that she's cheating on me with. Alright. But thus saith the Lord God, O fools, they shall have a Bible, and it shall proceed forth from the Jews. Now what is the Bible, Mormons? Yeah, it's what you wrongfully and abominably call the Old and New Testaments. See, if you weren't a denialist of history trying to be a revisionist of history to supersede the Jewish religion, you'd understand exactly what this passage is talking about. Which it's talking about what I just said. A Bible, or let's see, shall proceed forth from the Jews, mine ancient covenant people. And what thank they, the Jews, for the Bible which they received from them? See, they were all separate books on separate papyrus scrolls. And then after Constantine and the first abominable creed that created Christianity and created Jesus as the text says, a musion, which means not real. It's not a Greek word. It's got Greek letters that combine into what appear to be a word, but the word was made up by Constantine because nobody wanted to give up the nature and character of their Christ. There were over 100 leaders of congregations forced to attend this meeting for the new creation of Christianity. They had to give it all up for Christianity. They had to give up their religion, they had to give up their interpretation of Scripture, they had to give up their Christ, they had to give up the name of their Christ, everything. But when it came to the nature and character, none of them could agree. That's where they held their line. They would not cross it. So Constantine was pissed off and hot and bothered and angry and just blurted out a musion, and that became the nature and character of Christ. And it means not real because it's a made-up word. And everybody says it's Trinity and it's real. And so people make up stories about how, oh, it's all real. I saw YouTube this morning while going through the news. They were recommending a video about a nun who believes she's married to Jesus, one of Jesus's harem members, who believes she's getting revelation from heaven. She won't say Jesus, because that's abominable. That's heretical. It's blasphemy. It's those kinds of stories that people of the religion look for to validate their feelings that their religion is true. Sound familiar, Mormons? Dear God. And so, you just stray so far away from the truth and the history and the reality that you start getting absurd. And anybody on the outside look at you and go, oh my God, you've been drinking a lot of Kool-Aid, haven't you? And so, all of the Bible stories were written by Jews, not Christians, not even the New Testament. Jews, not Christians. All of Constantine's Nicene Creed creations did not exist before, because he created them. And this is too complicated for people. You have too many people trying to prove Constantine is true by pulling an anachronism. We found the ark. Here's a piece of wood from the ark. It's $50. The blood of Christ on a nail. $50. And if you buy now, we'll throw in a piece of cloth from the Shroud of Turin. It's all a scam. Oh my hell. I saw Jesus in my toast this morning. Oh my God. Stop it. Those are tabloid journalist articles. They should be all caught and killed. If you're not paying attention in the news lately, you're missing a lot of fun stuff about a porn star and a former president. I miss you, Jasmine. What do the Gentiles mean? Do you remember the travails and the labors and the pains of the Jews, and their diligence unto me in bringing forth salvation unto the Gentiles? O ye Gentiles, have you remembered the Jews, mine ancient covenant people? Nay, but ye have cursed them and hated them, and have not sought to recover them, and have called for their genocidal extermination, and threatening other people to join you in the genocidal murder of Jews. But behold, I will return all these things upon your heads, for I have, the Lord God, have not forgotten my people. Thou fool that shall say, a Bible, we have got a Bible, we need no more Bible. Have ye obtained a Bible, save it were by the Jews? And so, I've been doing the pictures, and the most recent one that I've made shows the Jewish fulfillment of Revelation 19, Jewish author, versus the Christian abomination interpretation. And everybody's hating me. You're the enemy, Travis. Leave us alone. We want to practice religious freedom. And so you have to be denied of your religious freedom so that we can have religious freedom. Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are Christian, Travis. You're denying us our religious freedom. Alright, so the commentary. Is this from the manual? Let's see. The theme of the future Gentiles declaring that they already have a Bible is expanded to a discussion of the source of that Bible. Nephi understood that there would be a time when Jews would be persecuted. Oh my God! Is this the Come Follow Me manual, Jasmine? Is it the CES manual? Which is this? Oh my God. I just want to scream. I mean, seriously, the stupidity of Mormons. Dear God. First Nephi, chapter 1, verse 4. Oh my God. For it came to pass in the commencement of the first year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah. So he was a Jew, right? He's got a Jewish name. The high priest of Yah. So, I don't see any persecution of the Jews here. Did you not even go to the footnote? Did Mormons, I mean seriously Mormons, 4b, we've got 2 Kings 24:18 and 2 Chronicles 36:10. We'll go to the first one. Nope, we should have gone to Chronicles. Alright, 2 Chronicles 36:10. It's right there in the footnotes. You know, study your scriptures, not get a positive feeling that they're true, according to your fantasy bubble. I'm sort of pushing for fantasy in the theme song in the description below. Earth, Wind, and Fire's version I really enjoy. There's the other one that's also fantasy. I can't remember the name of the band, but we'll see. Can you see my fantasy life? I really like Earth, Wind, and Fire's better. Alright. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar, oh, is he a Jewish king? We'll just rewrite history. Sent and brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem. Yeah, Nephi was foreseeing a day when the Jews would eventually be persecuted. Come on. Alright. Dear God. Mormons are so stupid. He had quoted Zenos's prophecy. You see, if you aren't knowledgeable of my channel, you don't understand that you missed the Exodus, you missed the end of the latter days, you missed your Christ, you're offended right now because I'm laughing. If the Bible was written by Jews, and therefore is not to be interpreted like a Christian, from the first creed of Christianity, which means the Bible is not literal history. It's prophecy and revelation of the latter days, which means there is no second coming of Jesus. I'd written that down last night before I went to bed. Yeah, the Christian concept of a resurrection is that Jesus Christ, at his second coming, will initiate the first resurrection. Mormons, and even Christians, because Jesus was resurrected and the bodies of the dead were also, the graves were opened up, and zombie apocalypse on earth. Resident Evil. An awesome series. But nonetheless, yeah, this was another thing as a child I was questioning. It didn't make sense to me. Okay, Jesus was born in the Roman period time. He then died and started the first resurrection. But not a single scripture talks about it as the first resurrection. What the scriptures do talk about as the first resurrection is actually the second resurrection in the latter days, when he comes a second time. And it made no sense to me. If the first resurrection has already happened, and Moroni and Mormon and Nephi and all the ancient prophets were all resurrected, why did the first resurrection stop? Weren't there righteous people from 400 to current? Why do we have to have the start of the first resurrection when Jesus comes again to start the millennium? It made no sense to me as a kid. Still doesn't make any sense as an adult. What the hell's going on? But lo and behold, the learning of the Jews. Oh, now I get it. Real easy breezy cover girl, or maybe it's Maybelline, when you use the learning of the Jews and eliminate the Christian influence of Kool-Aid. I can now breathe easier and mock Christianity in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and bust up laughing. And so, yeah, Mormons, desperate to prove the church is true, automatically assumes the Book of Mormon is literal history. They deny the power of prophecy and revelation in the Book of Mormon. They call it literal history. And so Zenos. Mormons are clueless. This is from the brass plates. The brass plates are the fulfillment of Ezekiel 37. Stick of Judah, stick of Joseph combined into one, from the Egyptian documents. Thus I found the prophecies of Zenos and Neum and Zenoch. That, is it in that one? It's one of them. Jasmine is quoting 1 Nephi 19:10 and then 13 to 14. I had told the Elders Quorum president out in West Valley before the bishop booted me out for saying that the Book of Mormon is true and that it's going against the prophets of the church, and so why am I bothering to come to church? Well, if the prophets aren't going to follow the Book of Mormon, then they're not true. They're the ones in the wrong. Yep, that's verse 10. And the God of our fathers who were led out of Egypt, the man like Moses. Interesting. That's also a prophecy that gets thrown in here. But you miss it if you're using Christian Jesus. And so I refer to you to section 103, verses 16 and 17 in connection here. They should have referenced it, and no, they don't. Nope, not at all. Why didn't you, Bruce? Bruce? I'm calling to you from hell, or to hell. Is the line busy right now? And so those of you who are seriously wanting to learn about the learning of the Jews from the Book of Mormon, yeah, you need to put in a footnote here, annotate on your published works, and I don't know if you can do it on your cell phone, but I can't do cell phone for scriptures. I have to write because there's so many things to correct in here. And so, yeah, you need to reference to this passage, section 103, verse 16 and 17. It's talking about the latter days. That's who the Jews are talking about. This man like Moses wasn't literal history. He's the symbol of the Jews for their Christ who's to come in the latter days. And Joseph Smith is supposed to be the one who sets up the church, restores the temple, and then is murdered by the enemy in preparation for the coming of the Jewish Christ, who, through Mormons, be born and raised as a Mormon to save Mormons. And Mormons didn't listen to him. And now Mormons are going to be cut off, precisely as it stands in our New Testament, Acts chapter 3, verses 23. Because you're going to look it up, right? who were preserved in the wilderness by him, in the desert of Utah. Yea, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, yieldeth himself according to the words of an angel, as a man into the hands of wicked men. Ta-da! To be lifted up. That's a sign in the heavens, because they didn't have crosses. Roman period used poles, so the Jewish authors are giving you clues, being a revelator for the day and the hour of his coming and the end of the latter days. According to the words of Enoch, to be crucified, according to the words of Nehemiah. They put Zenos' prophecy that the Messiah would be crucified. Oops. Nehemiah's prophecy. I just read it. It's right there. You can look it up too, Mormons. Dear God. Jasmine is so awesome. She catches all this stuff. And to be buried in a sepulchre according to the words of Zenos, which he spake concerning 3 days of darkness. All of that. Lifted up, crucified on a cross, buried in a sepulchre for how many days? 3, in darkness, and then 3 days of darkness. Sign of the death. The sign of the death for the ancients was a solar eclipse. 3 solar eclipses. But you didn't listen. I did all the videos. I made all those pretty pictures, trying to help you understand and educate you on the learning of the Jews, and you did not listen. You did not believe. You're in denial. You're still waiting for Jesus to show. You're still guzzling down the Kool-Aid. So all right here in section 10 is all about the latter days, giving you the days and the hours. The first year and the last year, 8 years for the Jewish Passover of the Exodus. Learning of the Jews. Dear God, Mormons are so stupid. Knowing that history, and very clearly understanding that he himself was a Jew, technically not. Well, maybe. There's an error in the Book of Mormon. Nephi claims he's from Jerusalem. However, the story actually tells us that Lehi left Jerusalem in this first year and then came and resided at some location just right above the Red Sea. And it's may be part of Jerusalem or Judah, but that's where Nephi is born. And if you're going to call it literal history, 11 years later, so 686 BCE, was it Nebuchadnezzar still? Babylon comes in and then fully destroys Jerusalem for Zedekiah's wickedness, betraying his brother. And so Nephi, at the very latest, going back to Jerusalem to get the plates and get women, dozens of women, if only, to then come to the Promised Land to build the Temple of Solomon in the American continent. He would have had to have been no more than 10 years old, because he would have been born 23rd of September 697 BCE. That was some Jewish humor for you. Because Lehi's second vision, the exact same pattern match to Joseph Smith's second vision, is taken from Revelation chapter 12, which, using the science of astronomy, we know the exact date, 23rd of September 2017. If I have to explain the joke. So, he would, at 9, he would have been 9 years old, fooling Zoram into believing he's Laban, fooling his own brothers into believing he's Laban. Oh my God, Mormons just don't think about these things. I did as a kid. As a 9-year-old boy, I'm thinking about this. But granted, I didn't have Google search to know that the particular time periods were what they were in literal history. But I don't hear any Expo Nevermos talking about this subject and going, wait a minute, how could this have been the case? Nope, just me. You heard it live. And what do Expo Nevermos thank me? They don't. Because Expo Nevermos also have to have the Book of Mormon as Christian in order to mock it. If it's the learning of the Jews, they can't mock it anymore. They now have to curl up in a ball and go, Christianity is true, Christianity is true, Christianity is true. God. So not only was the Old Testament written and preserved by the Jews, Jesus of Nazareth was certainly himself a Jew. He was actually Greek. Do you not believe me? Oh my hell. It's right there in the Book of Mormon. You believe the Book of Mormon to be literal history true, don't you? It's about the condescending Jesus. The tree of life. Which is to be understood in the learning of the Jews, and it does have to do with my mother, but Mormons don't believe, because they missed the Exodus, they missed their Christ, they missed the latter days. And so Jasmine is awesome. I'm able to tie it all in together. It's just incredible. I miss Jasmine. We just need to get together and just cry. Verse 13, 1 Nephi, chapter 11. And it came to pass that I looked and beheld the great city of Jerusalem, and also other cities, and I beheld the city of Nazareth. And in the city of Nazareth, which is Logan, by the way, I beheld a virgin, and she was exceedingly fair and white. Now, people claim that this is racism in the Book of Mormon. No, that's not. It's learning of the Jews. It's a prophecy about the Mormon who is to be born to save Mormons. This is his mother. It's not Mary. All Mormons miss it. This is about the mother of the Mormon. And she's going to be a white girl. She's going to be older than 14, though. She was actually 24. Oh my God. Oh yeah, she's white. Book of Mormon, prophecy. True, it happened. And you missed it. You missed her. She's dead. So yeah, the condescending Jesus, who condescends to Mormons for their wickedness and abominations and mocks them for their stupidity. And they get offended. If you'd flatter, pacify, and deceive us, we wouldn't be offended. We'd want to listen to you and what your content says. Instead, we're going to use ad hominem attacks to justify our fantasy bubbles not being fulfilled by you. Oh, dear God. And so, oh, dear God, Jasmine, no, it is not accurate. This is just all a big joke. Dear God. Oh my hell. Cool. Awesome. Alrighty, so yeah, I've got to live my life now. Unbelievable. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We've been doing this for an hour. Okay, the Jasmine comment replies. First one on top reasons to leave the Church of Jesus Christ. And Jasmine had to edit this. Okay. Good afternoon, Travis. Thank you for your email. James didn't tell me he told you about my mother. Yeah. Well, he loves you. He knows that I'm your friend and that you're friends with me. And so, yeah, he probably has found the videos where I'm concerned about Jasmine going missing and sad and lonely. And so, yeah, he reached out and let me know. Let's see. Before I get to the missionary visit, you didn't tell them your mother died, did you? Did not get it back to you in time. I have to ask, have I been saved? Yeah, I saved you. I'm your Messiah. Bow down and worship me. Give me of your substance. Wear magic underwear. I mean covenant underwear. As a symbol of your bondage. Send me the photos. But that's the whole concept of the resurrection. Is that Jesus was resurrected so that we can be resurrected. But if the first resurrection was in the Roman period time, but it's not called the first resurrection, and so Jesus, having failed to save in the first resurrection in the Roman period time, gets a second chance to save for the first resurrection as recorded in Scripture in the latter days, which were 25 days late. Do you not understand, Mormons, and all Christians, and all Islamists, who are all branch-offs of Constantine's creation? There is no salvation for you. Nobody is getting saved. Because you misunderstood the Jewish scriptures and the Jewish concepts. And so, yes, Jasmine was saved. From Christianity, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, specifically. But the other Jewish concept is Zion. Because the warning voice of the prophets, seers, and revelators who have the power, not the titles, are warning of utter destruction. Oops, you were supposed to look it up precisely as it stands in our New Testament. But like I said, you missed the Exodus, you missed your Christ, you missed the latter days. And so did Nelson and Christians and Islamists. So they escalated after they missed it. And so now we are in a downward spiral that will escalate. Islam is not backing down. Yes, they were arrested from Columbia University, but then they go right back. UCLA, arrested, going right back. They're not backing down. Columbia, they're now at the president of the university's home. It's a very nice home. It's a very big home. Unless it's an apartment building and she's got an apartment there. But you'd think the other tenants would be complaining and calling the police for the public disturbance during overnight hours. But the cops aren't doing their job as they need to be. These guys are not protesting. They're terrorists. When you replace the United States flag with the flag of Palestine, you're a terrorist. When you call for the death of Jews, you're a terrorist. When you're threatening other people to call for the death of Jews, you're a terrorist. You're holding people hostage, you're demanding they read your terrorist letter. This is terrorism. This is not freedom of speech. This is not freedom of religion. This is not freedom of expression. This is not freedom of the press. This is not freedom of anything. This is terrorism. And nobody's wanting to call it out as such except for Fox News. Oh my God. This is humiliating. Because Fox News is only doing this because it goes against the progressives. They have no interest in the Jews. This is just an opportunity to rub it in the face of the progressives. So, yeah, we're all doomed. Mormons have signed their deathbed confessional, and here we go. The Kool-Aid is catching up to you. And so Jasmine says she has no religious affiliations, and so she has to wonder. I know. You're practically perfect in every way. I know you don't like the psych field. Yeah, but James has a BS in sociology. It's not supposed to be psychology. And since it wasn't at BYU, he shouldn't have been tainted with psychology in sociology. If he has, uh-oh. See, this is where my brother came in. I would explain psychology in the beginning by using my brother as an example. See, and then my brother would be threatened by the church to attack me on my birthday last year, and thus fulfilling prophecy of the fox used by Samson. But you don't believe in the learning of the Jews, Mormons, and so nobody believes. And I'd have to do a full explanation for Jasmine. I'm not going to get into that for this video because we're already over an hour long. And so my brother, as I told you, had colic when he was a baby, and then growing up, he learned later on that he only sees two-dimensionally. He cannot see three dimensions. And so when Mom forced us to go into the backyard in Placentia, California, and toss the ball back and forth, I lobbed the ball to him, and it hit him in his face, and he went in the house crying to Mom. And I'm just standing there going, what did I do? I'm obeying my mom, who's forcing me to throw the ball at him. I throw the ball at him. He doesn't even move. It hits him in the face. He goes in crying. I'm now the bad guy. It's because we found out he can only see two-dimensional. And I had learned that from my mom after my mission, and I'm married or something like that. It's years later. And so my brother didn't go into sports. You know, later on he began to do sports as he's learning how to use the two-dimensional realm to fake three-dimensional just by trial and error. And seeing the two-dimensional shapes change size so that he can guess that it's a three-dimensional object coming at him. But nonetheless, it's a weird phenomenon. And so he became a bookworm. Memorized the encyclopedia, memorized the dictionary, and thus was an A student and became valedictorian of high school. Went to BYU, became valedictorian in high school. When he first got to BYU, he thought he'd check into veterinary field to learn about animals, but he changed. I don't know how many semesters, I wasn't following, But at some point, he decided to go into sociology. And I could understand, because he was bullied in school. All growing up, he was bullied for being weird. Mormon weird. And so I can see why, because people tend to go into the career field where they've had childhood experiences. So like if you're a child and your mother dies because of a medical problem, wouldn't be surprising that the child grows up to become a medical doctor. You know, you have a fire that occurs in your life as a child, you grow up, you want to be a firefighter. Those kinds of things. Whether or not it can be sociologically established, it's going to be difficult. There are many people on the earth to find out if that's the case. But it's something you can actually establish as a pattern that an experience in a child's life determines what they become later on. That is the proper way to use study on humans. And so, yeah, his being bullied, he chose to go into sociology rather than psychology. He wasn't interested in learning why he was being bullied and try to help them not be bullies, which women often go into psychology. But he went into sociology to understand the whole cultural structure. And if you're wondering about me, yeah, I'm an anthropologist of the ancient Middle East. Can you guess why? I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I deciphered actual Egyptian, filling in the blanks of the sign lists that are missing. And then would go on to discovering the Bible comes from the Egyptians and blah, blah, blah. And here we are, no dozens of women. Sleeping every night with my woman severed from my body. And so psychology is what's called a pseudo-science field. It means it's fake. It's not legitimate. It is not science. Everything that psychology uses for their arguments and their claims and their diagnoses are all fallacy arguments. If you are listening and you have no clue what a fallacy is, you're going to have to look it up. I'm not going to go into it. And it was Stanley Smith Stevens, Mormon, who created psychology as a fraud, using the false dichotomy and false non-dichotomy human behavior categorization system. Science, in order to identify the various plants and animals and rocks and minerals, has a dichotomous and a non-dichotomous categorization system. And thus, scientists have claimed that a tomato or a tomato is not a vegetable, it's a fruit, because of the categorization system that they use. But you cannot do it with human behavior. And as I've told you, psychology in America was founded by the Nazi psychologists during World War II, who were given asylum and sent to America, and they didn't want to thank their American liberators. They wanted revenge, and so they were working with the CIA on how to brainwash the masses. Ta-da! They are about to accomplish their final solution for the destruction of America. And so the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints embraces psychology through family services. And I've gone over all these years about the abominations of this. Not just with forcing girls who've been raped to have the baby and then give it up to adoption for the church to give to a good Mormon couple until gays were allowed to adopt. And then the church said, oh, hell no, you're denying us our religious freedom, we're out. No more human trafficking for us. Oh my God. And that paved the way for the Arizona Mormon to human traffic the women from his mission and set them up in Arizona and in West Valley where I used to live. And it made the news, and he's the bad guy, but not the church, because now that the church is out of the business, anybody else who tries it now gets set up and framed, because you thought that the church was doing legal activities. Oops. And you see this. If the church were to stop doing the missions, say we're no longer doing missions, then guess what's going to happen in Utah? All of the businesses run by Mormons in the state of Utah, like USANA and doTERRA, etc., are all going to be found to be criminal operations of pyramid, Ponzi scheme, MLM, whatever you want to call it, marketing scams. Right now, they're protected because the church is committing the crimes. But once the church is no longer committing that crime, yeah, then you're going to see all sorts of people being exposed for being criminals. It's the way it works. And so psychology right now, yeah. The church is involved with psychology, so psychologists are not considered criminals. But once the church stops family services and pulls out, then we're going to see, oh, that's why Jody Hildebrandt was arrested and is now in prison. Oh, that's why the asylum in West Jordan was shut down. Yeah. That's why Natasha Helfer was fired and excommunicated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because she used science. Why are you using science? It's not even in your field to use science. It's against the church to use science. What are you doing? Haven't you caught on that the church wants to impose a chastity belt on the garments, on the underwear? Dear God. And so my brother, after graduating from BYU, went to the University of Michigan to get his master's. Not his master's, he got his master's at BYU also. To get his PhD. You know, Michigan, sociological environment for my brother, because we lived there in Michigan in our childhood. I think he went to kindergarten as I was in first grade when we finally moved to Southern California. And so he went back there, and the University of Michigan is near where we lived, and so he goes into sociology with a PhD. He's valedictorian of BYU, which means he knew how to memorize and regurgitate what he had memorized. He'd be great for Jeopardy. But nonetheless, he goes there. He does his research paper on the city of Ephraim. So he goes to Ephraim to live there among them for at least a year. Like I said, I don't follow my brother. We weren't close. I hear it through my mom. And so he goes back to the university and is standing before the board to receive his PhD and approval for his thesis and whatever process is involved with that. And they tell him they're not going to give it to him. They're rejecting his thesis. They're rejecting his PhD because he didn't follow a single sociological process that he should have been taught but didn't at BYU, for which he had gotten valedictorian for. Valedictorian at BYU, and it was a worthless, false education. And so he cried to his mommy, and mommy told him, pull the religion card. He pulled the religion card on the University of Michigan, and they had to cave. So my brother's a PhD. You have to call him doctor. His lawyer got upset with me for not calling him doctor. Dear God. And he can't get a job. He's a failure. He works for the church as a sociologist with a PhD. That's the best he can get. He wasted his whole life. He memorizes. He's valedictorian, honors valedictorian. And he wasted his life. And yet he is completely illiterate about the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith's scriptures. Because I, as a kid, was recognizing something's wrong. Whereas he just memorized his scriptures. And Lehi dwelt in a tent. He thinks that's literal history. He doesn't understand that was Joseph Smith Sr.'s clue that story of prophecy for the latter days has ended, and he's now about to go into the next one. See who understands the Book of Mormon and see who doesn't? I'm an anthropologist of the ancient Middle East. We were both born and raised in the covenant of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He memorized the Book of Mormon. I didn't. Hell no, I'm not going to memorize. It's too much work. I use associative memory. Science. I see the patterns. I put the patterns together, identify anomalies, use logic, Socratic methodology to develop a theory, to run tests for confirmation about how to answer the anomalies and how they fit into the bigger picture. Who's smarter than a PhD in sociology? Who's the older brother? Who thinks he is going to usurp the older brother's position, thinking he's Nephi when I'm Nephi? Dumbass. May 6th, 1989, Los Angeles Temple. Nephi, according to the prophecies, but it doesn't matter anymore. Mormons missed the Exodus, Mormons missed their Christ, Mormons missed the latter days. They do not believe that they ever happened. They're in denial of history. They're in denial of the own recent past that happened. They're waiting for Jesus, and he's 25 days late. And so, yeah, as long as James was not influenced by psychology, he's just fine. And so I don't know enough of James. He rarely talks, rarely comments. And so he never responded to the response that I gave to his email about your mom dying. So, doesn't matter. As long as he was at a legitimate university, they should have taught him legitimate sociology. As long as psychology stayed out of it, he's doing just fine. The missionaries came by to give their oh no. Oh, Jasmine. Let's take care of this issue. Memories on the corner of my mind. Frosted coated marshmallows. I did have Lucky Charms for my birthday, but yeah, I'm glad I didn't pursue regular milk diet, as it contains bird flu now. What the hell? And so, to give their condolences, which I thought was sweet, considering every time they come by, they end up leaving in confusion. It's because you're so smart, Jasmine. They use their feelings. I asked them, where would my mother be in heaven now? And, oh no, they would have told you spirit prison. Remember James? Fence sitter? Well, your mother is now in prison. At least celestial. No, that's not yet. That's the third resurrection. That's after the millennium when that one occurs. Section 76, Jasmine. And so, yeah, according to the plan of salvation, which is clear the missionaries never got far enough into because Jasmine wouldn't confirm her feelings that the Book of Mormon is literal history true about Jesus, be baptized. And so the missionaries never got to the plan of salvation with them. And so, it's on the other file. And so the premortal council in heaven, or the premortal existence, is first. All the spirit children on the 2 planets held in reserve until the Big Bang. Oh my God, because it's in Abraham, the 2 planets that are nearest. That's where. Hilarious. Oh, Jasmine, I miss you so. And anybody who does not know about those discussions with Jasmine comment reply videos and mission experiences, you have no idea what I'm talking about because you don't watch R-rated movies or porn. So we condescend to come to Earth, as everybody comes to Earth, even Lucifer and his demons. They all got cast down to Earth, and so we get cast down to Earth and born and with bodies of flesh and bone as tangible as man's. And we're supposed to to obey the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in order to be saved in the highest degree of the celestial kingdom at the far end of everything, and wear the underwear as a symbol of our bondage, and the chastity belt. It's supposed to be attached. And so, there are three levels of living on earth. One, obedience to the true and one and only church. Then good people who are fooled by Christianity and Islam. And then there's your criminals like anti-Mormon apostate Korahors, Hitler, witches, the evil people on earth. And so when we die, we are told there are spirit heaven or paradise and spirit hell, prison. And so only those who are going to be resurrected in the first resurrection, which is the second resurrection, but a continuation of the first resurrection, but discontinued and has to restart as the first resurrection. It's confusing. Only go to the spirit heaven. Everybody else, even the good Christians and Islamists, calling for the death of Jews and death of America, go to the spirit prison, where they await their resurrection. And, just to let you know, Jasmine, there will still be missionary work in the spirit world. The good, righteous Mormons, who will be white and bright, will go into the dark and black prison to preach like the missionaries. And Joseph Smith is in charge of all of it. Wilford Woodruff, I think it was him. Let's see if we can find him. Joseph Smith, too busy in spirit world. Death in spirit world. Let's see. Joseph F. Smith. President Wilford Woodruff learned why people on the other side were too busy. Yep, here it is. BYU speeches, Brent L. Because Joseph F. Smith had the vision of the spirit world, but it looks like it is Wilford Woodruff. Let me see if BYU speeches will have it. Brent L. Top, August 18th, 2010. And he's lying to us, saying that he knows Jesus Christ lives, which means you actually physically saw him in the flesh, as a body of flesh and bones, as tangible as man's, and he talked with you, and you talked with him. That's what it means when you say you know Jesus lives. So now we gotta scroll down. Prophet Joseph Smith taught, Plan of Happiness, Gordon B. Hinckley, Janice Caperi, excuse me, Restoration, Attributes and Abilities of the Spirit. The body is the clothing of the Spirit. So we're naked if we're a spirit? We only get the see-through robe, the transparent robe, if we're resurrected. Like Moroni, not Nephi. Willard Richards had to correct Joseph Smith on that one. Okay, and then Packers, gloves are off. God. It's like Christians trying to explain Trinity. Real person is gone. Orson Pratt. President Young. Parley P. Pratt. I am not a physicist, but... God, stop! Stop! If you're not a physicist, you say, I don't know. And you end right there. You move on to another subject. Oh my God. Fixed star. In the gutter to be the baby. Don't you know that you drive me crazy? My hell, is it near the bottom? Elder Pratt. Holy Ghost. Elder Pratt. Journal Discourses. Notice Joseph Smith is not involved in any of this. Orson Pratt. Physical bodies. Prophet Joseph Smith declared he can gaze into heaven 5 minutes and you would know more than you would by reading all that is ever written on the subject. That's because the Catholic Church suppressed it. Where the spirit world is and what it is like. Okay. President Young. Where is the spirit world? It is right here. I told Mormons that. I figured that out. And I'd tell Mormons that, and they would be confused. What? It's not some other dimension? It's not on another planet? It's not the moon? I mean, seriously. Dear God, if you do not study your scriptures, you make stuff up. Doing the good and evil spirits go together. Yes, they do. Do they go to the sun? Or some other planet? No. Do they go beyond the boundaries of this organized earth? No, they do not. They are brought forth upon this earth. That's what we're going to do for this spirit world. Spirit world. Okay. We're going to have some kind of discussion, or in the title we'll have something to do with that. Okay. No, they do not. They are brought forth upon this earth for the express purpose of inhabiting it to all eternity. I thought Jesus was. How is it that the spirit world can be right here on earth? Hello? The earth is the physical body that houses the spirit body. Oh my God, it's real basic and simple. Even me as a kid understood that. The earth and all other planets of a like sphere have their inward and spiritual spheres, as well as their outward or temporal. Oh God. Key to the science of theology, Jasmine. Right there. That was Parley P. Pratt. That's where I got that knowledge from. So, yeah, Jasmine brought that to my attention, the key to the science of theology. Sort of. She said something by Parley P. Pratt, and so I did the video and found only the key to the science of theology. So there's a quote from that. See how Jasmine and I are in sync with the universe? See, you know, the day before my mother died, I happened to stumble across Carolyn posting the pictures of our family. And then on my mom's death day, Jasmine's mom dies, and now we're talking about the spirit world. And, you know, passing through the veil. We're a faraway planet. Spirit world is right here around us. Joseph F. Smith declared, I believe we move and have our being in the presence of heavenly messengers and of heavenly beings. We are not separate from them. Therefore I claim that we live in their presence. They see us. Somebody's watching me as I shower daily. Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, if you want to threaten a woman who won't show you the goods, just say, I'm going to kill myself so that I can see you when you're showering. Dear God, lock him up. But yeah, there are already movies about that. The Invisible Man. This is what they're talking about. Spirits see us, and they can't do anything about it because they have no body of flesh and bone as tangible as man's. So they live in hell because they can't have sex. And if they don't go to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom, Jasmine, we've already talked about this, yeah, chop chop, scoop scoop. No babies in the eternities for those who don't go to the highest degree. So let's just our welfare, that which is temporal, and like this thing is spiritual. President Young, when you are in the spirit world, everything will appear as normal as things now do. Spirits will be familiar with spirits in the spirit world, will converse, behold, and exercise every variety of communication one with another as familiarity and naturally as while here in tabernacles. They, as here, all things will be natural, and you will understand them and now understand natural things. Now, using science, in order to confirm this, we actually have to see the spirits in the physical realm in order to verify it. Christianity says that the spirits are not real, and therefore we can never see and know of them in the physical realm, which is a fallacy argument because it's wrong. But regardless, Mormons claim that it's all physical and natural. Is it section 131 that was gutted by Brigham Young when he finally put it in his Doctrine and Covenants to support polygamy? Verse 7. All spirit is matter, which means it complies to the laws of physics, but is more fine or pure. The basic elements of hydrogen, helium, oxygen, gaseous matters. That's the spirit, according to this right here. And can only be discerned by purer eyes or a microscope. We cannot see it, but when our bodies are purified, we will see that it is all matter. And so thus, the laws of physics must apply, and it can't because Jesus has supernatural powers. But nonetheless, this is what is to be understood. We need to be able to physically observe the spirit world. And there have been people over time, many of whom have been lying to promote their religious beliefs as being true. But there are some people who are seemingly, potentially accurate. And so the movie Ghost, for example, incorporates all this into an entertaining made-for-Hollywood movie, in which there are the white spirits of light and the dark spirits of blackness, good versus evil, which, again, is Zoroastrianism in origin, which is wrong. But nonetheless, that concept of good versus evil, right and wrong, light and darkness, which is scriptural, but has varying grades of darkness, which The scripture about the light of the body is the eye, and if you're full of light, you see all things that are perfect, whereas otherwise any level of darkness is darkness. You need to purge yourself of the darkness and get your eyes white. Which is not racist whatsoever by those who hate blacks. You need to see the whites of their eyes. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, you need to verify before talking about the spirit world. And yeah, I've told the story several times over the years. Jasmine hasn't heard about it. But in the Jordan River Temple, I was going every single day. I have the narcolepsy, and so with the lights going out for the movie presentation, my lights would go out as my associative memory was able to memorize the text, and so I knew all about the information anyway. And so one morning, I am there in the Jordan River Temple. The video had already begun. I already knew the processes and procedures of the temple, that the ordinance workers were required to attend that first session and then go report to their various stations at the temple or to the veil for future veils throughout the day. And they are not allowed in to a session that has already been started into the thing. Temple president gets angry with those who sneak in and orders them not to, and so nobody is allowed in once the video has started, because it disturbs the ceremony. And into the video about the creation of heaven and earth, I'm dozing off, and I'm awoken by a bright light from the door at the back. The door is opened, and I'm very well aware of this. I'm very well aware of the few people who are in front of me, the guys on the right, the women on the left, because you got to keep them separated. Don't want couples having sex during the middle of the endowment ceremony. You know, like Lorena Bobbitt at the family school children's play. So there's a light, and it's, you know, it's a dark room, and so yeah, there's going to be brighter light than normal from the hallway light. And so I look over and I see an elderly gentleman, white hair, balding, and he's a little heavy set, and he's in the whites, and he's got his robe packet with him, and he's got suspenders, which is required uniform for those who are officiators and veil workers. And he walks in the room, walks down the aisle, and the light is still on. The door apparently is still opened, and he comes in and gets in the second or third row from the front and moves his way in and sits down right in the middle of the aisle, right in front of me. And then the light goes away, and I'm like, wow, he didn't get in trouble, huh? They let him in. That's weird. And so the lights come up, as it's now time for the next phase of the operation that's going on in the temple. And I'm looking, and I can't find him. He is clearly distinguishable. Old man, balding, white hair that is left. All the guys that morning were dark, full hair. I looked. I can't find him. He's gone. I know what I saw. It's not Parkinson's. It's not Alzheimer's. It's not even in my DNA. I've had it tested. I don't have them. But he's gone. And that's all I can say on that. I can't say anything more. I can't make any conclusions or speculations. That's what I saw. Okay? So where is this? Jedediah Grant. Heber C. Kimball. I saw him at the door of the Temple of Heaven. Joseph Smith. Oh, here it is. President Wilford Woodruff learned why people on the other side are so busy through a vision he received of the spirit world, in which he spoke with the prophet Joseph Smith. Okay? He's claiming to talk with the dead. See, Wilford Woodruff is also the guy who claimed that he talked with the founding fathers who demanded that their temple work be done. Even the criminals. Wanted to overthrow the government and restore the monarchy. Oh my God. Okay. And so, I saw him at the door of the temple in heaven. This is the St. George Temple, in case you didn't know. And so there's a temple in heaven. But it's the temple on earth, remember? There's no temple in heaven. Heaven's on earth. He came and spoke to me. He said he could not stop to talk with me because he was in a hurry. The next man I met was Father Smith, Smith Sr. He could not talk with me because he was in a hurry. I met a half a dozen brethren who had held high positions on earth, and none of them could stop to talk with me because they were in a hurry. I was much astonished. And yes, Jasmine, I did have another experience with a dark spirit as well, a demon force. He was angry with me for some reason and wanted to murder me. So I'll come back. I left off at astonished. I was in the Bronx. I was finishing my mission. I was with McFarland, so I was in the second to last month of my mission, and so thus my first month in the Bronx. The mission president had sent me there because every missionary was complaining, and I was the only companionship with Mark Augustine that were not baptizing 200 converts per month. Every other companionship, 200 baptisms per month. Mark and I, none. Zero. Zip. Zilch. We're apostate anti-Mormon Korahors. That's how we were treated. We're unfaithful, and so it's our fault that nobody's getting baptized. So this is mission stories too that I gotta remember to put in the playlist. And gotta write it down because it's near the end and I may not see it. Mission stories playlist. So it's over 2 hours. Wow. So 3 years from now it'll be put up. And so I had invented a record system to keep track of everybody in our neighborhood, in our area. And it filled volumes of 6-inch binders, if not 4-inch, 4 or 6 inch, they were thick binders. And obtained the paper and did all the work to identify everybody at every single residential location and where they were with investigating the church. Whether they said, no, leave us alone, you were just here last month, or they were flaming gay, like Kelvin. Other missionaries put that. Oh my God. And then Mark Augustine decided to color it and emphasize it with underline. And so he would not go to the dinner appointment at Kelvin's house. Stuffed cabbage. It was actually okay. But I had to go with Ames, the district leader, because Augustine was too homophobic. And he became a sociologist and sent me down the river, betrayed me, got his revenge for me giving him his agency to run the mission how he would like it to be run. And he didn't like that. He wanted me to take away his agency and order him to do things. And so he got his revenge and locked me up for 6 years of my life during that big old scandal. He was a part of that. And so news quickly escalated to the mission president. The only companionship in the whole mission of 200 missionaries, so 100 companionships, and there are some with 3, and so 200 per companionship per month. And I'm there with Augustine for 6 months. It was hell for me, and he's the one complaining. And so one morning, the zone leader comes bursting in our door. And I'm there in the couch in the living room at the door, and he asked me, where's the investigator files? And I'm in the kitchen, on the table. And so he heads off to there to see what we're doing. He's going to prove us wrong, he's going to fix our problem, and we're going to get to work. And we're going to start baptizing like the rest of the mission. And I hear him in the other room, oh, you are working. I have volumes of at least 4-inch thick binders of all the work we've been doing. And so word gets back to the mission president that I created an investigator records and all that. And so the mission president calls me in for transfers and says the Bronx branch needs help getting the membership records in order because previous couple missionaries were assigned to do that, and it hasn't been fixed and solved, and they could really use your help. And so I was put with Elder McFarland, who's a brilliant organist, and he'd take me around New York, even to St. Patrick's, as he'd have connections with the pastors of the various cathedrals, and would play on the organ as long as there wasn't a sermon going on at the time. And so I would continue to read my Bible from cover to cover during that time period. And so yeah, that was awesome. Being in St. Patrick's Cathedral, in the balcony, while he was playing the organ. Awesome. And we got it fixed. We didn't have keys into the bishop's office or the branch president's office. The building belonged to another church, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints bought it from them and was using it for church services and activities during the week. And there were 52 different nationalities there in the Bronx. And we show up to the church and the door is locked. We need access to get to the membership records. And we don't have the keys to get in to do our job. So Mark McFarland whipped out of his pocket a lockpicking sack and picks the lock. And so, yeah, we're able to get to work. As the left drawer in the desk had all of the documents and notes of the previous years of the missionary couples who had just made it a bigger mess. And so, yeah, over the course of time, within the month, actually by the third week, we had finished. We had cleaned up the records, and the membership records was available for the branch, and they were able to get visiting teaching for the Relief Society set up, and home teaching for the priesthood, as they were able to then assign people to the different callings and stuff, knowing who they were, and thus have a membership record for the branch. And thus we knew that we needed a certain number more elders in order to turn the branch into a ward. And as a ward, they would be subject to receiving more financial support from the church, as determined by sacrament meeting attendance, and because branches are treated less than wards. And so the missionaries were then told to skip the women and focus on converting men. And after I had left, I had learned that they had failed, and the branch was split to 2 branches. And then later, when my cousin went to the New York North mission, they had split the mission into the North and South New York mission. And so, yeah, interesting. But while I was in the Bronx, my bed was up against the window. McFarland's bed was against the back wall, and there was a flag. I think it was the American flag there on the wall. It was weird. I don't know why. But anyway. And so one night, the windows are closed. I don't even know if we can open them. Maybe, but there was no emergency ladder to get onto, no balcony with a ladder that was common in Brooklyn. This was just a building. And so, yeah, when the building collapsed in the Bronx, I was well aware, and I checked to see the location of it from where I was, and it wasn't near me. So, but still, I'm very well aware of the news. And so, yeah, 9/11, very sad. Peter Polino, who I knew there in the Bronx, who took me to his office in the Trade Tower building and exchanged my coins that I had been collecting, picking them up off the ground with all the walking that I did. I had died on 9/11. And all my pictures are gone, thanks to my dad. And so this one night, sleeping, all of a sudden I'm woken up. And I rise up, and a dark entity, just like on Ghost, comes through the window. And I didn't learn about Lilith yet. Dark entity enters in through the window and comes right before my face, and then it's gone. I could feel its anger and hatred towards me. It was human. It was in the form of a human, but it was a floating entity. It was all dark. Couldn't see the facial features, couldn't see the human features. It was like a silhouette, a shadow, just like on Ghost. I don't know if that influenced me, but why am I having it that one particular night? I don't know. But yeah, the story of Lilith is that she is going to come through the windows to murder babies. Specifically, the Christ of the latter days. Unless he has the amulet on the wall to protect him. That's the Jewish mystical story of Lilith meeting Elijah, and Elijah says if he makes the agreement to save the Messiah in the latter days. So yeah, that's what happened. I then was like panting and breathing heavy, and I'm looking over at McFarland. He's sound asleep. And so I'm going, okay, this was weird. And went back to sleep, woke up, back to work as usual. So yeah, I saw the two versions. Whether they were real, because I know they weren't from mental illness, which doesn't exist, so thus a medical mental problem. That's DNA has proven I do not have that. So whatever happened, happened. That's as far as I can go. Didn't talk with any of them. Nothing like that, but Wilford Woodruff is claiming he is. And so there are some issues here that make this false. He's trying to promote this for the church to be obedient and follow him as the president. Because this was delivered at the Weber Stake Conference, Ogden, Monday, October 19th, 1896. Alright, so I was much astonished. By and by, I saw the prophet again, and I got the privilege to ask him a question. Now, said I want to know why you are in a hurry. I have been in a hurry all through my life, but I expected my hurry would be over when I got to the kingdom of heaven, if I ever did. He's telling us that the spirit world is the kingdom of heaven, not the celestial kingdom after resurrection and ascension to the celestial kingdom. So yeah, we know he's lying here. Joseph said, I will tell you, Brother Woodruff. Notice, brother. Every dispensation that has had the priesthood on the earth has gone into the celestial kingdom, has had a certain amount of work to do to prepare to go to the earth with the Savior when he goes to reign. Oh my God, Jasmine, you are brilliant. Again, the Jasmine Travis connection. He goes to reign on the earth. He's 25 days late. But you notice he's again claiming the spirit world is the celestial kingdom. You don't go to the celestial kingdom and then come back to earth for the second coming, because that's the start of the first resurrection. Wilford Woodruff is showing that he doesn't even know the doctrine, let alone the theology, let alone anything of Mormonism. Each dispensation has had ample time to do this work. We have not. We are the last dispensation, and so much work has to be done. And Nelson failed. Miserably failed. And he won't keep his covenant path penalty oath. Nelson. And all of the prophets they also failed. It's not just the captain of the ship, it's the whole crew. They're all on the board of directors. They all failed together. Keep your covenant path. They won't do it. And we need to be in a hurry in order to accomplish it. I packed my book. If I have to pull it out, I'm going to be so pissed. So there you have it. I should do a copy and paste of this for the files rather than trying to type it from this video. So this is how I can tell a Mormon imposter. This is what I was talking about in a video I did the other day. That in Zion, apostate anti-Mormon antichrist of reality will not be allowed into Zion because they have no interest in Zion. And Mormons who don't know their doctrine are going to be exposed. And I saw this with Russians trying to pretend to be Mormon and try to trick me. Back in the early days of my videos, I was able to expose them each and every single time. And the one confessed, I can't wait to go home to Russia. He was sent to America for a specific plot to overthrow America, and he wants to go back to Russia. He wants his work to be finished here in the United States. Russia is trying to destroy America, guys. I got confirmation from one of the agents who were pretending to be a Mormon to try to trick me, and he failed. Putin's unhappy. And so, yeah, there have been several attempts to poison me over these last few years since I sued the church. Church you'd think was under orders of Putin, but nope, it's the church that are doing it. Same pattern of practice. Alrighty. So yeah, missionary work in the afterlife, Jasmine. Your mom has now been assigned to missionaries. Maybe it's Joseph. So that's where your mother is right now, according to Mormon theology. And so it's not Celestial Kingdom, even though Wilford Woodruff botched it too. Least celestial since she was a Baptist. They also said she could be baptized to go higher. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is if you accept it in the spirit world, your work has to be done on earth still. Even if the first resurrection happens and then you've accepted it because of the missionaries taught you in the spirit world, you still have to wait for somebody to do your work on earth before you can advance. You cannot advance until it's been sealed on earth. What is sealed on earth is sealed in heaven. And so even though you've sealed it on heaven, it has to be sealed on earth first. This is why the church takes away everybody's agency by collecting names and doing the temple work for them. And that's been a huge scandal, as people are saying, hey, stay away. We don't want anything to do with your religion. We don't want our family members to be involved in your church's plot to convert us to Mormonism. And the church doesn't care. They do it anyway. People get upset. And so, yeah, that's what would have to be done, Jasmine. You'd have to join the church so that you can go to the temple and do the work for your deceased mother a year from the 28th of April. Which is weird, because my mom's birthday is your mom's death day. Again, there's a connection going on with us, Jasmine. Because like St. Patrick's Day, that's my birthday, it's the death day of St. Patrick. That kind of thing is the way I'm thinking about it. So we need time and date for next year. Because you'd also have to be joining the church real quick here. Though, no. Nelson has changed it, that's right. You can now join the church, and because you are already married to James, you don't have to wait a year to get married in the temple. You just have to be in the church long enough, be paying your tithing, be approved by your bishop, and then stake president, and you can get into the temple, and thus be ready next year to do all the temple work for your mother. And Mormons are like, yeah, get her, Travis, get her, join the church, yay! We knew we'd get Travis to turn. Mormons drool for this kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with truth. It's all about gang mentality. Seriously? You're not viewing the calendar. So the 28th would be on a Monday. You'd have to wait for the temple to be open. A new moon is on the 27th. So, yeah. New moon on Monday. Da, 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 da. Is that Duran Duran? And so, yeah, once you do the temple work on earth for your mother, or the church does it for you, because they'll do it next year. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to wait 110 years before they take over anybody who's died. So they're not supposed to be doing more recent deaths. But and so, yeah, then whatever, if she accepts the missionaries in the afterlife, then yeah, her judgment still depends on the level of law that she was under on earth, and as a Baptist, she would have been a terrestrial rather than telestial. Christians who denied the Mormon Jesus. Good people, but they denied the Mormon Jesus, with a body of flesh and bone as tangible as man's. And so she would have to wait until sometime into the millennium, which could be any day now, for the second resurrection. But the first resurrection is delayed until Jesus comes. We're already 25 days late. Oh my hell. They asked me if I had been reading my Book of Mormon, not praying about it. The missionaries are mocking you, Jasmine. And I told them yes, the 1920 edition. I asked, why not the one they gave? I was asked, why not the one they gave us? Really? Because the Book of Mormon isn't true in 1920? What? I told them I wanted to read one less tainted. He told me the Book of Mormon has never been changed. Oops. Revisionist history, alive and well in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I just said it's sad you believe that. Even the church came out with a publicized version with Nancy Drew's Deseret book of the 1830 edition. And they had to explain it's a narrative not put into chapters and verses, or it is in chapters but not verses. It's text. Oh my God. And so yeah, you have to spend a lot of money to get it. They're not going to give it to you available for free, like online or something, other than the Joseph Smith papers. I asked if James and I don't get sealed in your temple, will we be together in heaven? Nope. Your sealing is no longer valid because you didn't get sealed on earth, so you won't be sealed in heaven. It won't be of any effect and value. Like all Mormons who have no authority, because the sealing power was with Joseph when he died. Brigham Young didn't have it. It didn't just magically pass to Brigham Young just because Brigham Young said, I'm now the president of the church. Follow me and pay me tithing. Mormons don't want to understand this. The sealing powers are gone from the face of the earth. The only one who has it is the one who's your Christ, Mormons, whose mother is dead and is white. And so, yeah, Mormons don't understand this. They don't get the learning of the Jews. It's just so sad. And so, yeah, Mormons, their marriages are of no effect when they're dead. Only those who go to Zion will have the actual Christ with the actual authority to actually seal people through the millennium as the restoration of the resurrected parents through the children will establish millennial reign of peace. But Mormons have chosen utter destruction, so we're all going to die. There will be no Zion. So sad. I've lived my whole life wanting to go to Zion. My whole focus of scripture study emphasized anything that talked about this, the second coming, as I believed, the latter days. Going through the Bible, I annotated it with a purple highlighter. Everything that indicated a latter days reference. And I think I have those somewhere in one of those boxes, but dear God, I am not in a position to set up shelving units and put them on the shelving units. I did not salvage the bookshelves either. Anyway, and so, yeah, Mormons don't understand the tragedy that they're in. Too much Kool-Aid drinking has blinded them. Kool-Aid drinking causes blindness. Sorry, Kool-Aid. Are you even still in existence? Does Kool-Aid still exist? I know other Country Time lemonade has a powdered drink, but I don't know if I've seen the Kool-Aid powdered drinks anymore. Interesting. But yeah, I know pudding pops are gone. I liked pudding pops. commit sexual crimes, and all of a sudden the companies abandon you and no longer produce the product anymore. I loved his comedy routine about Noah. Noah? Yes? It's just a tragic end to a funny comedy live. Let's see. Bill Cosby's Noah's skit. That one says it's 2 minutes 45 seconds. This one, GodTube, says it's 7 minutes 55 seconds. This other one, the stand-up channel, is 7 minutes 49 seconds. Weird. So I'm guessing that the first one is not the actual one. Somebody talking about the skit, giving commentary. And so yeah, the GodTube is most likely the one that covers the whole thing, and even the stand-up channel. Hilarious. Oh, delivered? Already? Huh. Cool. Well, let's hurry up and finish so I can go get my mail. I've got mail. Jasmine, and in reality. Okay. Let's see, the missionary. And I noticed the video hasn't frozen on me. After conference, it stopped freezing. Weird. What's up with that? Let's see. Heaven. They said it's doubtful. But if we go ahead and get sealed, yeah, you gotta get baptized. See the trap? They're threatening you. They're making conditions. Then yes. I explained, I don't feel comfortable joining your church since there are so many things wrong with it. They then played dumb and asked, what is Jasmine's biggest concern? Polygamy? Have you not been listening to her? You gotta listen to women. They're actually talking about stuff of substance. You gotta listen to women. You can't ignore them. Women tend to get angry if you ignore them. Gotta pay attention to women. They're fascinating to listen to. Jasmine told them, your church is Christian, and that is not in line with the Book of Mormon. I love Jasmine. Love her. They said, how so? Again, plain stupid. What do you mean? Have you never even read your Book of Mormon, missionaries? Oh my hell. Hi, we're selling you a product we don't even use and we don't even know how to use. Want to buy one? Maybe 2 or 3. Tell your friends. I'm kind of being forced to sell these things or I get in trouble with my church. I told them the Book of Mormon is in the learning of the Jews, not Christian Jesus. They said, we believe in Jesus. Yeah, that's the whole point. You weren't listening to her. Oh my God. I told them the Jews don't believe in Jesus. So how can you follow the religion if it's not true? Love you, Jasmine. I love you. Where are those dozens of women who are just like you, Jasmine? Where are they? They said, and I quote, she says, "You should pray more when you read your Book of Mormon, and you will receive a feeling from the Holy Spirit that it is true." Oh my God. The missionaries are completely clueless. The missionaries ignore the learning of the Jews. They're focused on Christian. They're focused on Jesus. They're focusing on another testament of Jesus. So when they're praying to get the feeling, that's what they're getting the feeling for. And it's wrong. The Book of Mormon says it's wrong. 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 2, learning of the Jews. That's what all Mormons are supposed to pray about. So that when you go through the Book of Mormon, you are taught the learning of the Jews. So when you get to 2 Nephi chapter 3, hey, there's your Christ, Mormons. Joseph Smith and the future Mormon in the learning of the Jews. You're supposed to feel good about them. And you don't. You feel bad about them. Oh, they're not true. They're not Jesus. You've gotten conned by religion of this church. And you don't see how it's a con. That they're stealing your money. That they're causing you to commit crimes. That they're causing you to commit crimes to protect the church from prosecution for their crimes. This is most likely going to shut off at 3 hours, just so that you guys know. I have to pay attention to the time here and try to finish this up as quick as I can, but I miss Jasmine. I just want to imbibe into my whole soul everything that Jasmine does because she's so rare. She's most likely going to disappear for months now. Somebody else in the family is going to die, or there's going to be another car accident, or there's going to be another threat by the missionaries. And I'll have to wait and wonder and worry about her. God. Jasmine told them, I believe the Book of Mormon is true, but your church isn't. And I receive spirits about 2 or 3 times a week. 3 or 4 times a week. And it is a good feeling. Remember the previous comment I made? Yeah, Jasmine and I are in tune on this. I guess my laughter is what made them realize they were late for another engagement, another appointment. I stay and listen to the good parts. Edited insertion. How are you, Travis? I'm better with you around, Jasmine, but I know all too well that this is going to be short-lived. This talk about retirement is depressing to me. Just saying. It's a tragedy, Jasmine. And it's not even Greek. Oh my God. And so her other comment, and all of these other ones are shorter. On the same video, top reasons to leave. Good afternoon again, Travis. So I am curious. Oh good, you're curious. About your body? Do Mormon married couples do kinky things in the bedroom? Oh yeah. They turn out the lights, they get under the covers, they're still wearing their underwear. That's pretty kinky. It's amazing a guy is able to find the hole. Oh my God. And so yeah, you got your different kinds of Mormons. You got your rebellious, according to church standards and values. And so yeah, it depends. There are lots of single Mormon women who would be wildcats in bed if only they would get married, and they don't, and they assume that Mormons who are unmarried are prudes and won't allow them to express their kinky side, and so much confusion because of miseducation and denial of sex ed science in this church. And so, yeah. What about your toys? You never told me about your toys. You never went through and discussed each one of them. I mean, is it legal to do other stuff other than the missionary position? Oh, I need to introduce you to Holly Jane. I think you can just Google search her and find her. Holly Jane, LDS. Instagram, The Real Holly. Holly Jane at The Real Holly. Instagram, photos and videos. Outkick. Mormon mom has been officially excommunicated for porn. Newsweek. I'm a Mormon on OnlyFans. Holly Jane is a content creator. Is that what they call it these days? An OnlyFans model. All views expressed in this article are the author's own, as told to Newsweek's associate. Daily Mail. Mormon mom who is shunned by church says she is an Holly Jane, 39, and September 22nd, 2022, from California, has claimed married Mormon and Catholic fans are paying her for virtual sex on OnlyFans, saying she is TikTok, Holly Jane Mormon. Holly Jane Mormon. Discover videos related to Holly Jane Mormon on TikTok, which is now banned in America. See more videos about Mormon mom Holly Jane. Holly Jane Mormon. Ooh, I just had an idea for a thumbnail picture for you, Jasmine. A Holly Jane Jasmine. Awesome. So this is going to be hours later when this gets posted. Dear God. Holly Jane Jasmine. Okay. Whether that makes it into the video, I don't know. It could just be a private thing for you. Reddit. Ex-Mormon. The Mormon mistress, Holly Jane, withdrawn from LDS. She says her photos are tactful and classy. Yeah, I like them. She She said she was never gonna do porn, and she did. I caught her, and I can't watch it because it's OnlyFans, I have to pay, but I caught her. She's doing her neighbor, so she says in the title. Because the article that she did way back in the beginning said she would never go that far. She draws the line at that and would not go that far, but she is, apparently. So, good for her. She's having a good life now that her husband's dead. So again, on the death subject, all ties in together. All circumscribed into one great hall. And so, yeah, the missionary position, that's also the Jewish mystical text about Lilith and Adam, the first wife of Adam, where she wanted to be on top, and Adam said, no, you got to do the missionary position. I'm the presider in the home, you have to obey me. She said, no, I'm leaving the marriage. And so she became the spirit that enters in through the windows to kill the Christ of the latter days as a baby. All circumscribed to the one great hall. Which, Jasmine doesn't know this, but that's part of the temple going over the boob signs, the square and the compass. All truth shall be circumscribed into one great hall as part of the Mark explanations. We got 13 minutes before the time runs out. Can I get to it quick enough? LDS endowment. Be under the veil. Is that the first token? We need to get to the veil. Lecture at the veil. Introduction. Initiatory. The creation. The garden. What? Obedience. The veil. What is that? You skipped it. This is the pre-1991 stuff. Okay, where are you going over the marks? You skip it. Marks of the veil. Okay, here I found it. These four marks are the marks of the holy priesthood, and corresponding marks are found in your individual garment. This one on the right, was it? Because they changed it to the one on the right. Is the mark of the square. It is placed in the garment over the right breast, suggesting to the mind exactness and honor in keeping the covenants entered into this day. The one on the left is the mark of the compass. That's Freemasonry, square and compass. I'm assuming you know it, but just in case you didn't. It is placed in the garment over the left breast, suggesting to the mind an undeviating course leading to eternal life. A constant reminder that desires, appetites, and passions are to be kept within the bounds the Lord has set, and that all truth may be circumscribed into one great hall. The Church is using circumscribed by the different definition rather than circumscribed into one great hall. They're using the obedience version. You can look it up because it's associative memory. Circumscribed. And they're using mine. To enclose within bounds, limit, or confine, especially narrowly. Yeah, that's the Church's version of it that they're using, rather than everything that is spoken all relates to each other, which is what I do. So there's where circumscribed into one great whole comes from. And then there's the navel mark. It is placed in the garment over the navel, suggesting to the mind the need for constant nourishment to body and spirit. And then the knee mark. It is placed in the right leg of the garment so as to be over the kneecap, and they've shortened the underwear sufficiently so that it's no longer over the kneecap anymore. This was for the one piece that went down to your ankles, and up to the wrist, and up to the neck. Gotta cover up and hide. Our bodies are evil. They cause harm. It's as dangerous and deadly as COVID. Suggesting that every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Jesus is the Christ. So I again refer you to section 76. It's long, but it explains that only those who go to the telestial kingdom are the ones who bow the knee and confess that Jesus is the Christ, because they don't believe in the Jewish Christ. Are there rules? The church used to have rules. They used to get into your bedroom and make sure you were doing it right. Seriously, no condoms, no contraception. If you get married, it's for baby production. And Mormons threw a fit and the church had to back off. And so, yeah, there's been some changes to that, and so it's called the law of chastity, even though it's supposed to be polygamy, or the law of marriage. But yeah, you're not supposed to do anything else. No facials, no hand jobs, no masturbation, only baby production. That's it, that's all. And so that's why the church is so obsessed with porn, is they want Mormons to conform and comply and cause problems with the miseducation and the denial of science education regarding sex ed. And so, yeah, there are rules, but the church just wants you to be sealed in the temple now. But once Zion is accomplished by them, their Zion, all that they had to do away with because of the United States of America, they're bringing it back. That's why Nelson is getting things set up, and he's failed. But 11-year-old girls for child brides. It's coming back. He set it up. And Mormons are being wicked, and they're disobeying. It's coming back. Masturbation has always been a sin forever in this church, but they will enforce it in Zion. It will be a crime. It used to be a crime in Utah. You were considered mentally retarded if you were caught masturbating, and you got sent to the asylum in Provo, and there's a tombstone that no longer has a name, but is written, he was mentally ill from masturbation. And they're dead, and nobody will ever know about them because he was erased from history. That's the church's concentration camp for any anti-Mormon, antichrist Korahor. The state of Utah had chosen not to sell it recently, this year. They're still keeping it. They're still going to be in charge of running it because the church wants to put it to work in the coming days for certain people. Every Mormon needs to fear because you are already wicked. Don't think that just because the church wins and gets their kingdom back that you, by being wicked, will be welcomed in the church because you're already Mormon. The devil does not support his own. And so James and I were talking about that earlier this morning and wondering, talking? Really, Jasmine? Talking. You sure it wasn't two or three or four times of the Spirit? We assumed that transferring the spirits was just how the mood was and didn't have to conform to the rules. That's the one thing Jasmine and I are not connected on. I have no woman in my life. Okay, and then Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Good evening, Travis. I'm still watching. Going down the list. Regarding one of your picks in your intro, 4 minutes. I have to say I have read 2 Nephi 29, 4-6 several times. I have even showed it to the missionaries in my explanation of them reading the Book of Mormon as Christian. I sent an email of a documentary on it that I found a while back, and I covered that already. If you sue the church, you are a terrorist. Yep. Silence is violence is something that I actually like. Does that make me a bad person? No. It is true, but it's being abused by Islam. Islam are forcing people to not be silent, to support Islam to destroy the Jews. That's where they're abusing this. And they're claiming that if you're not attacking Israel with them, that you then are committing violence against Islam. They're totally screwing that all up. So no, that doesn't make you a bad person. And then 39 minutes, over 3 hours ago, Jasmine, on the latest new revisionist history released by the Church of Jesus Christ. Good morning, Travis. Good morning, Vietnam. So she had no comments on that one. She was just saying hi. And nothing new. Okay, we're done. I miss you, Jasmine.